Okay, welcome back to my manifesting school. I took a little dinner break, and the next video is all about dreaming big. And before I took my break, I got the message to talk about this. And as I was going through my break, Spirit gave me a lot of messages around it. So we're gonna go some places with this talk. So get comfortable. So dreaming big. I recently heard a sales guru talking to his sales team that if you're not hitting your numbers, it's because the goal is not high enough. And so I thought, wow, really? We're not hitting our numbers because the goal is not high enough. And if you think about it, yeah, if you are considering something and you're doing it, let's say you're being ridiculously practical about it. And I love practical. I think practical is necessary sometimes. But usually it's not relevant. Practical is based on what the world has told you is appropriate. And so it causes you to set standards that are too low. I'll give you an example. When I first decided I was going to manifest lasting loving partnership, I always wanted to be in a relationship, but that boyfriend that would lead to marriage. I wanted a nice man who was easy on the eyes and tall and funny, and we got along, and he wanted to get married. And that's what I manifested. And I'm divorced now. So the goal was not big enough. It was not a reflection of him. He's a great man. But we had different perspectives about what a relationship was. I wasn't getting really clear about my dream and believing that I could have it. So what this means, I want to take you through this. This is all very subconscious. We set low standards because subconsciously we believe that we can't have it. And then we label it, oh, I'm being practical. But practical is often, again, based on something outside of you. And your connection to source is all that really matters. That is your power. And source is going to tell you what you need. And it's usually much bigger than your humanly self could imagine. So let's take this a step further. So let's go back to I want to be in a relationship, right? I still do. Right? I still want to be in a lasting, committed relationship. Now, because I'm clear on my standards and I'm setting higher standards for myself, I'm now very specific about the type of relationship I want to be in. But back then, 10 years ago, my subconscious programming was that of, oh, I can only have so much. And this is all, again, very subconscious. And so it's imperative that you do some healing work and clear out the limiting beliefs that keep you thinking this is all I can have. And especially as women, and a lot of women of color are drawn to my work. So especially as women of color, we have to set much higher standards. We just do. For ourselves, because we tend to set them low. Society tells us to do it that way. Oh, you can't have what you want. You can't start a business. You can't, you have to deal with a lot of drama in a relationship. Whatever it is, it's all very subconscious and embedded within us. And then as we set out to pursue a goal, to manifest something, we manifest from this low vibrational place. And either we get what we want and we're not happy with it, or we're just not getting there. So set a much higher standard for yourself. This is your holy permission slip to have exactly what you want. Now, let's talk about the messaging that we get that, oh, you can't have what you want. Oh, you can't have it all. Well, the truth is, if we really set high standards, if you really today sat down and committed to figuring out what your standards are, you don't want everything. You want what you want. And it's probably a pretty short list. It's not super long, you know. I think of myself and I'm like, okay, these are the things, things I value the most for my life. And it's not about anything but what lights me up, what I desire. So my spirit guides are saying, Amy, you need to be more specific and give them examples. So uh, my standard of living. I have a very specific lifestyle I like to live. I like to live in a downtown, in a city. I like a very walkable neighborhood. I like to live in a very modern building. And for years, I denied myself that. I'd say, oh, well, if I can just get close to that neighborhood, or, oh, well, it's cheaper out here. Um, but it never is. It's never cheaper. It's never more comfortable. It's never more practical. It's actually very impractical. But when I go for what I want that's in alignment with my standards, life is easy for me. So because I like to live in a downtown and I like to live in a walkable neighborhood, I don't really need a car. So, oftentimes when I'm saying, oh, this is where I want to live, if I'm having a conversation with someone and I'm looking for a place, they'll say, oh, that neighborhood's too expensive. And I'm like, that's for a long time, I'd take that in and be like, oh, that means I can't have it. Oh, I'm not making that amount of money. No. Every time I have gone for what I want, not only can I afford it easily, I'm much happier and I don't have a lot of shit in my life that is keeping me from maintaining that which I want. So taking on a car would throw my budget because there's a certain ways I like to spend my money. When I am clear about my standards, I always have enough money. When I am clear about my standards and I go for just that, Spirit gives me the exact information I need to be able to get what I want. But when I start to think practically and, oh, that's too expensive, or oh, I can't have it, then it clutters my channel. And the more clear you are, the faster it is to manifest what you want. It takes way less energy, way less time. You'll know exactly what to do. And so it comes back to you got to stop listening to the noise. And sometimes the noise is within you, and that's that subconscious belief. That's something I work with clients on all the time, is really clearing out limiting beliefs that keep us from having what we want, because it will derail us. I've been talking about limiting beliefs since the start of my business. There's a chapter on it in Journey to Self-Love, my book. You can find it on Amazon. It's so important to do that work and to continue to do that work, because those beliefs, they'll come back in different forms as you go to the next level. So really work to clear out those beliefs. So how do we clear out those beliefs so we can set a high standard for ourselves? So go through and look at your goals and say, is this really the highest vibrational goal for me? For me, right? So, if I were looking at my goals, if I were a different person, be like, I could easily be like, oh, well, shouldn't I want a mansion instead of just an apartment in a downtown area? Well, that's not in alignment with my truth. So that's not why I'm saying by increasing your standards. If it's not in alignment with you, I don't want a big space. I'm very clean and I like things a certain way, and I like to be able to maintain my space. So smaller spaces work for me, and I know how to maneuver them. But, I was having this conversation with my sweet little mother, and she's like, well, wouldn't you want a 2 bedroom or, a house? I'm like, no, I don't want to do all that work. I run 2 businesses and I like to have fun on the weekends. I need a place that I can easily maintain, and it's high quality. I definitely like to live in luxurious buildings, but it works for me. So as you are increasing your standard, I'm not saying choose something that's out of alignment with who you are. I'm saying choose what you know is right for you. And it'll feel like a stretch, yeah. Some of those luxurious buildings I look at, I'm like, this is a stretch, but I love it. So I'm going for it. And so that is the perspective to take on dreaming bigger. If you are not hitting your goals, meaning on some level you're not happy, you're creating things and it's just not working out for you, or you want more when you're done, and you'll always want more on some level. That's a part of the process, but you know what I'm talking about, where you get it and you're just like, that was not what I thought it was going to be. Then this is your time to step back and say, Where am I denying myself my own truth? Where am I seeking things because it's practical? Now, before I wrap here, this is a little bit longer video than the others, let's talk about working our way into things. And there's two approaches to this. There is the working our way into things that require that we work our way in. So I have a client who has political aspirations, but she really wanted a PhD. So she recently had the option to run for office, but she was pursuing this PhD and she knew that that was a part of her path and she needed to finish that before she took on running for office. That is the natural process of working your way into things. Then there is the other way, where you say, okay, I'm taking this, but I don't really want it, but I'll save more money, or it'll get me there some way, but I don't. It's not really lighting me up, but it seems like the right thing to do so that eventually I'll get to my goal. That is not going to help you accomplish what you set out to do. It's just not. If it's not in alignment with where you are today, it's not going to get you where you want to be, because it's all about the journey. It's not about the destination. So yes, I'm talking to you about achieving your goals and manifesting what you want, but really it's about the whole experience of reaching that goal. That's the magic. And so if you're in something and saying, oh, it'll get me there, hopefully, or it's not, I'm just going to tell you it's not. If you don't love it right now, it's not going to get you there. So go for what you want. Dream bigger. It goes back to how I started this talk with that sales guru saying, hey, if you're not hitting your numbers, it's because your numbers aren't high enough. And that seems counterintuitive, right? No. When you dream big, you're bringing in the power of you. There is nothing more powerful than you. When you are dreaming small or practically, you are thinking that your desires are insignificant, and it will never be a strong enough vibration to draw you to what you want. So be willing to dream the actual dream you want. And yes, you might have to work your way into it, but that's a natural part of the process. It'll be enjoyable, like my client. Whereas the other way, it's going to suck the whole time. You'll come up against problem after problem, and before you know it, you realize, gosh, I'm spending so much time dealing with problems that I can't even work the actual goal that I set out to accomplish. So dream bigger, because it'll fuel you forward faster. Take care of yourself.